Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with Iceland-based bassist and composer. His new album is essentially called In All Directions, But Still the Same. It was a bold step for him to explore more experimental music that he had written and face his fears in doing so. Each song is a short story about his struggles and the beauty of life. Essentially, it's personal, dissonant, poetic, melodic, original, and provocative. He reached out to the show. We are so glad he did. You don't get a lot of musicians from Iceland, but we are always glad when we do. We caught up with him from his home base in the capital of Iceland after he reached out to the show, and we covered jazz, music, his life, and so much more. Enjoy this interview. Hey, man, this is wonderful. Thank you for reaching out to the show. Thanks for taking some time out. I really dug the music, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, just thank you for inviting me to this interview.
Yeah. So are you located in Iceland right now?
Yes, I live in Reykjavik, Iceland, so that's the capital of this tiny country. The country is big, but the population is not that big.
I really appreciate you sending me over the music, and I want to, before we get into the music, I'm curious, how did you survive this COVID 3-year time period, and how has it changed the way that you approach life now?
I've always worked. So I was working in a school. So here in Iceland, all schools were open. So for me, it was actually no problem. We just followed the rules of COVID. You know, I went to work. The work was not so much. It was actually quite easy. So in that sense, it gave me a lot of time to practice my instrument. So it was okay for me in that sense. So
your brand new album, the actual translation is In All Directions, But Still the Same. It's,
yes,
as you had dubbed, it's personal, it's dissonant, it's poetic, it's melodic, it's original, it's provocative. So how did this album come about, and what number is this? What album is this for you?
So this is the second album. The first one was a trio album with a piano player. Actually, we were rehearsing that in the COVID, so you can say that was my first step of, get the courage to actually put my music out there. This album is more experimental, so the idea was, my friend was moving away from the country, and we really had a short window of actually creating this album. So I just looked at it as an opportunity to, just go for it.
Are you a little bit more comforted that this is your second album? I mean, the debut for anybody is a big statement of yours into recorded music, but has this one been a little bit more comforting, and does it feel good that it's coming out now with the pandemic slowing down and things opening up?
Yeah, I would say I'm more happier with this album. I think it's actually, it's more who I am, and also it shows a bit more of how I'm developing in the upcoming album that I will hopefully record next year. I have loads of music, so I feel just more, this is my approach, something like this.
How did you get involved with jazz? You're, in Iceland. I'm curious how you grabbed on and made jazz your career.
So it's like, as a young kid, I was like, listening to rock music. I was just listening to everything. I was buying a lot of CDs, and I was always like looking for something. And at some point, I played the electric bass, and I don't know. And suddenly, I just started to listen to jazz. And like a lot of people, that when you get into jazz, it's like jazz owns you. I don't know. It's like, for me, what I love about jazz, you don't have to repeat it like you did it the last time. You can actually just play it totally different. And for me, it gives you so much freedom. But you have to practice a lot, of course, to get to the level of this, of our heroes. But I think this music has more freedom than a lot of people think. So for me, that gives me something extra.
So what musicians have you listened to that really inspire you?
So I've actually listened to a lot of stuff. So in jazz music, when I often listen to bass players, because I'm a bass player. So I listen a lot to sounds. So Melodic Energy, I love him. Paul Timber, Ray Brown, Uh, so Charles Mingus, of course. I also like a lot Eric Dolphy. I think he's one. Maybe he's the guy that got me into jazz like totally. When I listened to the album Out of Lungs, I was like, "Whoa, that's so cool." Yeah, I mean John Coltrane, of course. I really liked him. And I'm definitely forgetting so many people. There are like Andrew Hill is cool. There are so many awesome musicians out there.
Yeah, no, you totally hit it on the head there. So I am curious, what's the first live jazz show you ever saw that blew you away?
If I remember it correctly, I think so, because like here in Iceland we don't have you don't have this all stars from the U.S. But I'm trying to remember the name. There was this American saxophone player that came here. He played with Miles Davis in the 80s. Maybe you can help me a bit with the name. He has this Muslim hat always on him when he plays.
Oh, Kenny Garrett?
Yeah. Kenny Garrett came here, and he had this like young cat with him, and I was like, whoa, this is like, for me it was like, whoa, it was so energetic and it was just beautiful, and of course, I mean, he's an awesome player. So for me, maybe that's the concert that blew my head out. Yeah, blew me away.
Why do you love jazz?
I don't know. It's like, jazz can swing, jazz can be weird, jazz can, it's just how people play. Jazz just speaks to me differently than most music. I mean, yeah, I think jazz speaks to me deeper, because jazz today, it's totally different than it was maybe 30 years ago. The branches of the jazz tree is everywhere. You can mix so many things in it. So for me, it's freedom.
So let's say you were to come to Kansas City and put on a live show. Explain what that show would sound like if you were going to present this album. And furthermore, to the listeners out there, explain why they should come catch you live.
I mean, if you want to see something different, then I would definitely... Or maybe, so I think I could bring more younger audience, but also older audience together. I don't know how to explain it. I think I have a bit of fresh angle on music. I'm not inventing the wheel, of course. I think I'm just adding something more into this huge scene of jazz. So I don't know how to answer it.
No, I think you just did. And I'm going to take it a little bit further here and ask you this. This will probably be a little bit more to the point. Everyone has a perception of you, your family, your friends, your fans, but you live your life. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I mean, like most people, I think I'm a good person. At least I'm trying to be a good person, and I recently had my first kid, so of course that has changed a bit the perspective of life. It's not only about me anymore. For her, I want to show her that you can try to follow your dream, and so I think I'm a person that tries to be who I am, try to be a better person, something like that.
Right on. That's great. I love that answer. Hey, thank you for reaching out to the show. Thank you for opening up. Best of luck. And before we get out of the door here, if anyone out there wants to pick this album up, your debut, learn anything about live shows or anything about you, where can they go on the web?
I mean, it's Freysteinn G. It's like 11 letters. You can find me on Instagram. It's also Freysteinn G. I'm on Bandcamp. It's Freysteinn there. So Facebook, it's Freysteinn Gislason actually there. It's a quite long name. Yeah, I think I'm on Spotify under Freysteinn. Yes, so you can find me under that.
Wonderful. This has been great. Hey, thank you again for reaching out. It's wonderful music. I'm looking forward to presenting this in our interview on Neon Jazz. So thank you again. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for offering me this chance.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players and minds in Iceland, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Freysteinn for reaching out to the show, for his time and story. If you want to hear more interviews, find Neon Jazz Interviews on either Apple Podcast or Spotify. Subscribe to us at YouTube, and for everything Neon Jazz, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.